Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have the Adventures of Young Indiana Jones. This is the brand new to Disney Plus series of Indiana Jones adventures throughout his childhood. Currently, I think you can also watch this on Amazon Prime. I watched this when I was a kid, but not the whole thing. So I'm kind of excited to see it all. And right now, right from the beginning, I'm going to mark this down as adding to my list. And I will watch it eventually, unlike everything else I put down on that list. I gotta say, no, I did watch the Mysterious Benedict Society, thankfully, before they took it away. But in this is sort of a time-hopping adventure of the early 20th century. Apparently, this is something either I forgot or I never knew, but Indy was literally born in 1900 at the turn of the century. And when we first see him in his, literally the first episode is called My First Adventure. Okay, I'll get back to that in a minute. we get introduced to him, his parents, his teacher as they travel the world together, Miss Seymour is his teacher. She's very stuffy at times, but she also has a bit of an adventurous streak in her. And he's educated, and we're educated through him. This is a George Lucas written series. Now, he's written the stories. He hasn't written the screenplays. That is a very important distinction to make. But these adventures are definitely much more aimed towards kids and letting them know what the world was like in the early 20th century and all the different characters and real people that Indiana Jones interacted with. Of course, not the actual real people, actors playing those real people throughout history. That is kind of the big charm of this. You also literally get to travel from all over the world, different countries, different cultures, different people, and Indy learning lessons along the way that show him how he became the man we know and love in the Indiana Jones films, the latest of which, the fifth one, starring Harrison Ford, is coming out at the end of this month here in June. But hey, it's May 31st, it's the end of May, and we get all four currently existing Paramount-produced, Paramount-released Indiana Jones films, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So yeah, we get all those, and we got the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. Now, this, for people who grew up with this, who have watched this before, I'm not so worried about it, because again, I think I dropped off after a couple of the episodes, and then it just sort of disappeared for a while and then came back, but by that point I lost all interest, mainly because this is, if you're expecting this to be high energy, crazy stunts and everything else that you would expect from an Indiana Jones film, you're not getting that. Just trust me, there is adventure, there is action, but you're dealing with an 8-year-old at one point, and you're dealing with a teenager at another point, because you don't get just to see one version of Indiana Jones, you get at least two. In fact, in the first episode, I think there's a third version of Indiana Jones. When this thing was originally released, it was called the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. I guess that sounded too high-minded that they had to change it. Eventually, when the final set of stories were released, they changed it to the Adventures of Young Indiana Jones, getting rid of Chronicles. And they were much longer, like 4 movie-length things. Now, the really strange thing is right now there's one season on here. One season. And it's 22 episodes. Now, if you try to look these things up and try to figure out what's going on, and I did this just because I needed to understand which episodes I was watching, because I know that the history is kind of convoluted with the order and how there's a part 1 in one episode and a part 2 4 or 5 episodes later, especially with this one, which is my first adventure, but it's also the Curse of the Jackal. And at this point, we get to meet Indiana, but he's the dog, as fans know, and he's Henry Jr. He's an 8-year-old who is now, he goes to London, and then he goes to Egypt, and he gets to see a mummy, and he gets his first taste of archaeology. And that is kind of inspiring. It's kind of great, and hopefully it inspires other kids to see other worlds, other parts of the country, other parts of the world, and other types of people and cultures and everything else, to have them explore as well. Whatever career they feel like, they don't have to all become archaeologists. You have to meet a lot of famous people, and at some point Thomas Edison shows up. Just pretty much everybody prior to World War II is in this. He's let's see. In this first one, he meets T.E. Lawrence, Lawrence of Arabia. He meets. I've already forgotten his name, but he's the guy who found King Tut. He was the archaeologist. He was inspiration for Indiana Jones. Begins with a C, and my brain is off. We've done so many mummy documentaries. I should know this guy's name by now by heart, but he shows up. Oh yeah, John Ford, Tolstoy. Good grief! All sorts of different people show up at all over the place. But just in this one, the main people are the archaeologist and T.E. Lawrence. And then, even though every other list that I look at tells me differently, after what seems like a big resolution, where somebody steals something and they catch him, but he doesn't have the thing he stole on him. Suddenly the story changes completely. Henry Jr. is on a boat with his parents, and they're about ready to head off to Morocco. Okay. And he seems like a completely different actor. He's like 4 years older. He's like 12 here. And I think he's a completely different actor. Unless he had a big growth spurt between parts of the episode. I think they cobbled in another story into the end of this. But it's not the teenage version of Indiana Jones. The younger version is played by Corey Carrier, Henry Jr., and then the teenage version is Sean Patrick Flannery, who's a teenager. And we get to see that. That's a bit more swashbuckling, action-oriented, but you can't do a whole lot with an 8-year-old. But he's 12 suddenly. He's in Morocco. He's learning that there's still slaves, and there's people who are children, especially, being bought and sold and stolen as property. In fact, he becomes friends with a young man who is a slave in the household in which they're being hosted. And he doesn't like the fact that this kid's a slave, that he hasn't been educated in anything. Henry comes from a wealthy family. He has every opportunity. He travels the world. He carries a big map of the world with him and shows things to this other kid, this slave kid, who has no comprehension of what Russia is, or the ocean, or anything else. He's not seen these things. He doesn't know what snow is. So Indy is like, yeah, don't bow to me. Don't always do everything I say. The slave kid is super polite and helpful. And Indy's like, I want to be your friend. I just want to be friends. Like, just toss the ball around and just be friends. And of course, Indy likes to get in trouble. He likes to do things that he's told he's not supposed to do. And when the host of the house tells him that there's somebody's head on a pike in the marketplace, because that's what they do to certain people, well, of course, Indy gets really like, I want to sneak out and check this out. And slave kid which is, I realize, is just a horrible thing to say, but Slave Kid is like, no, you can't go out there. You wouldn't last. There's not a safe place for you. You're also American, by the way. And really, really pale. Well, the host of this home, and again, I have a feeling he's famous also. He's a famous person in history, but maybe not. I didn't recognize his name. I tried to do research on him and I couldn't find anything. He teaches Indy how to wear brown face. He makes his skin darker in order to blend in and dress up as a common child in the streets of Morocco. And of course, he gets kidnapped along with his new friend, and they get sold into slavery. That's the first episode, the second part of the first episode, which is also like a mystery add-on story, which, again, every note that I look at, IMDb, the Wikipedia, all these things do not reflect this. I should go see if I can watch it on Amazon Prime, and if it shows, I might have to pay for it, though. I have Amazon Prime. I don't know. But if I check it on there, is it going to be the same episode? Is it going to be the same length? Because like this first episode is an hour and 26 minutes long. In each of these, you're going to find each of these are an hour and a half, hour and a half, hour and a half, hour and a half. So the initial thing is that these episodes were like a normal hour-long TV show, and then later on they turned them into movie. The latter season of leftover episodes they made into larger movies. Well, it seems like now they've gone the opposite direction, and they made all the shorter episodes now into movie-length stories, which have different stories. And yes, you would normally get in an episode a very young Indy, and then you get a teenage Indy. So you jump between Corey and Sean Patrick Flannery, and you can see two different eras at once. It kind of mixes things up. And the story that we got here at the very beginning, that is the Curse of the Jackal, that part 2 is literally coming in Passion for Not Life? No. Spring Break Adventure. Spring Break Adventure is going to contain the part 2 of the Jackal story, but that'll be the Sean Patrick Flannery picking up that story many years later. I don't know where this other like young tween Indy, because at this point somebody calls him Indiana. So I don't know. Somebody out there probably knows better than I do. Again, I never watched the whole series, and I know this thing has gone through a lot of changes, and things got remixed, and that's okay. That's okay. But so if you're trying to remember this exactly as you saw it when you were a kid, it's probably not going to be that way. But it's still the stories. In fact, maybe there's a little extra. Maybe there's stuff anybody's never seen before. I don't know. Maybe that second part with the brown face in slavery is something that's completely brand new. Well, not brand new, but just never seen before, maybe, or seen at a different point in the series. I honestly don't know. This says 1 season so far, 22 episodes, and technically there's like 28. I don't know. 32. No, there's like 32 supposedly if you go to Wikipedia right now. So, I will watch them all because I love Indiana Jones. And at some point, we'll be adding the 4 films to the mix. And I do not doubt the 5th film, after it's done its box office, by the time, say, Christmas comes around, or probably Thanksgiving, we'll probably see Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny on Disney Plus. I'm guessing. So we won't add it until the 1st of July when I reset the list. I do it every quarter, and I had all the stuff in from the last quarter gets added. And we'll see how that goes. Oh, I gotta tell you what is next. I already filmed that already because it was one of the things that was being taken off of Disney Plus. Hold on a second. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. I don't know why I didn't think of it. So yeah, just to wrap this up, if you're expecting big, crazy action adventure kind of stuff from the like you see in the Indiana Jones films, no, this is not going to be it. But it could still be. There are fun elements in this. It's George and a bunch of his buddies in the Lucasfilm era in the 90s just going nuts with history. And I mean, Ben Burt directs an episode. Like Ben Burt, the guy who gave us the sounds of R2-D2 and Chewbacca and lightsabers and AT-ATs and stuff like that. The sound guy got to direct an episode. So that's kind of great. Probably more than one episode. But yeah, there's a lot of good old legacy things. And you'll probably even see some familiar faces from Star Wars films making appearances here. And even a cameo by Harrison Ford himself as Indiana Jones, a much older Indiana Jones, but I don't know if as old as Indiana Jones is in the new film. So we'll see. I'm not going to say where it is, but because I probably would be wrong because the way everything seems to be rearranged here, I'm probably wrong. Anyway. But you get to see the youth. You get to see Indiana Jones's mom. You get to see his dad before he turned into Sean Connery. You get to see the dog. You get to see what kind of breed Indiana the dog is, and you get to see the depictions of historic figures from the early 20th century coming in and out of Indy's life and inspiring him in different ways. So that's kind of cool. I like that kind of stuff. It's not Mark Twain and Star Trek: The Next Generation, but he was a bit obnoxious, but it's still good fun. So you know what? You should just watch this throughout the course of June, as I hope to do, and then maybe I'll watch the other movies too. I'm not going to do it through this thing because I don't want to burn them off right away. I want to let them come up randomly and give me joy. And just build up to the Dial of Destiny at the end of this month. So anyway, I've already picked out the review and I've already watched and done the video for this because I had to do it before they were all taken away from Disney Plus on the 26th. Yeah, last week. So I'm still continuing to do a few more episodes. I have already done them. A few more episodes of things that Disney Plus has taken away, just so I could say I watched them when they existed, because a lot of them were Disney Plus originals, and where am I going to see them otherwise someday? Gonna buy the DVD? No. Gonna buy download the digital copy of Artemis Fowl? That's what's coming up tomorrow. Artemis Fowl, which has had some incredibly not great reviews, but if I have to tell you this, that I didn't get to say in the video, no, maybe I did. I can't remember. It's the future. If you're going to watch it for Dame Judi Dench stepping off a spaceship and going, top of the morning, because she's an elf. That makes no sense, but yeah, that's what Artemis Fowl is. Makes no sense. That's what we're watching next tomorrow. Artemis Fowl on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.